In the aftermath of a blue wave election night, where Democrats won out in Virginia, in New Jersey, New York City, Pennsylvania, Georgia, California, Donald Trump, obviously feeling the heat, took to Truth Social with the most desperate of deflections, writing, quote, "Trump wasn't on the ballot and shutdown were the two reasons that Republicans lost elections tonight, according to pollsters." Isn't it so telling that when the guy in charge has the opportunity to take responsibility for how he's leading his own party, where the literal president of the United States gets to say that the buck stops with him, and the very first thing he does is to diffuse responsibility off of himself and cast the blame on everyone else? I mean, how fucking fitting that after an absolute shellacking at the ballot box as a direct referendum on Donald Trump, Trump's response is to pretend that he shoulders none of the blame whatsoever. For a self-proclaimed alpha, this guy could not be more of a little bitch. Now, in terms of the tweet, Trump wasn't on the ballot? First of all, Trump is never going to be on the ballot again. So how is Trump not being on the ballot in 2025 different from 2026 or 2028? How does that help him or Republicans at any point moving forward? There is never going to be a point at which he is on the ballot. So that would suggest that Republicans are never going to succeed again. Trump himself doesn't need to be on the ballot here. Trumpism was on the ballot. I mean, just be real for a second. Is the Republican Party anything other than its blind allegiance to one man, Donald Trump? Is there any meaningful pushback to Trump whatsoever? Has anyone stood up to him on anything? Is there any legitimate opposition to him on healthcare, on food stamps, on his corruption? Has a single fucking Republican said that he, maybe shouldn't be trying to take $230 million from the Department of Justice? Of course not. This entire party is nothing more than an appendage of Trump. And so the notion that he isn't on the ballot is an absolute farce. So long as the entire Republican Party refuses to distance itself from him, so long as the entire Republican Party acts as a wholly owned subsidiary of him, he is on the ballot. And the second point on this tweet, the shutdown, okay, well, let's see. Who controls the U.S. government? Who runs the House? Who runs the Senate? Who runs the White House? Might the fact that the government can't stay open have something to do with the fact that the party in complete control of the government cannot manage to keep it open? And don't take my word for it. Check out this tweet from House Republicans from 2021. Quote, "Last time we checked, the Democrats controlled the House, Senate, and White House. If there is a government shutdown, it's because of Democrats." Their words, not mine. And by the way, it's worth noting why there's a shutdown in the first place. It is because Republicans want to take away your health care, and Democrats are using what little leverage they have to protect it. If the Republicans had their way, the ACA subsidies that we all rely on to keep our health care prices low would go away, and your health care costs would double or triple or quadruple or more. And that's not hyperbole. Senator Ruben Gallego from Arizona posted the 2025 costs compared with the 2026 costs from one of his constituents, whose monthly premium is set to rise from $514 a month to $2,435 per month. In other words, an extra $24,000 a year, basically another mortgage, all because Republicans are hellbent on destroying the ACA and frankly, don't give a shit what happens next because they had 15 years to come up with an alternative to the ACA and they still have nothing. And yet, despite the pathetic diffusion of responsibility from Trump, he wasn't done yet. He then took to Truth Social minutes later, writing, "Just out, the 60 Minutes interview of Donald J. Trump on CBS Sunday night was the highest rated 60 Minutes in years." I'm sorry, but do you realize what just happened here? Trump was feeling insecure as the result of these election results that were a referendum on him, and so he needed to pump himself up by tweeting out something complimentary about himself. I mean, dear God, if this guy was any more insecure, he'd hire someone to applaud every time he entered a room. And by the way, while we're on the subject of 60 Minutes, that would be the program where he said this.
He pled guilty in 2023 to violating anti-money laundering laws. Right. The government at the time said that CZ had caused significant harm to U.S. national security, essentially by allowing terrorist groups like Hamas to move millions of dollars around. Why did you pardon him? Okay, are you ready? I don't know who he is. I know he got a 4-month sentence or something like that, and I heard it was a Biden witch hunt. In 2025, his crypto exchange Binance helped facilitate a $2 billion purchase of World Liberty Financial's stablecoin. And then you pardoned CZ. How do you address the appearance of pay for play?
Well, here's the thing. I know nothing about it because I'm too busy doing the other.
But he got a
only
part
tell
of-
you that.
but he got a
no,
part?
I can only tell you this. My sons are into it. I'm glad they are because it's probably a great industry, crypto. I think it's good. You know, they're running a business. They're not in government.
Yep, just a casual admission that Trump doesn't even know who he's pardoning, which of course has left his Republican colleagues looking like absolute fools when they're questioned about it.
Last week, you came here to these mics and you were very critical of Joe Biden's use of the auto pen, his pardons. You said you didn't even know who he was pardoning. But last night on 60 Minutes, President Trump, admitted not knowing he pardoned a crypto billionaire who pleaded guilty to money laundering. Does that also concern you?
I don't know anything about that. I didn't see the interview. You have to ask the president about that. I'm not sure. Yes, ma'am.
So if that's the kind of thing Trump wants to brag about, be my guest. And in fact, in retrospect, perhaps that overt corruption wasn't the best closing message heading into an election. Perhaps voters don't appreciate the naked self-dealing that's happening from this White House, the relentless focus on crypto dinners where you've doubled your net worth, the remodeling of the Lincoln bathroom and posting 25 pictures of it, the demolition of the East Wing for your own $350 million ballroom, a new jet retrofitted to the tune of $1 billion paid for by American taxpayers, and of course, covering the Oval Office in enough gold that it looks like Liberace threw up all over it. All the while, regular Americans, the people you swore you'd help, are watching their costs rise, are watching their healthcare get stripped away, are watching their food assistance get gutted, inflation surge, manufacturing die on the vine, and job growth stay anemic. Perhaps the American people aren't as dumb as you thought they were, which might explain tonight's results. New Jersey electing a Democratic governor by a 13-point margin, Virginia electing a Democratic governor by a 15-point margin, along with a Democratic lieutenant governor and attorney general, and flipping more than a dozen seats in the House of Delegates, Pennsylvania retaining its 5-2 Democratic majority on the state Supreme Court, Georgia electing 2 Democrats to statewide offices for the first time in more than 20 years, New York City electing a Democratic mayor with the largest turnout in decades, Democrats flipping 2 seats in the Mississippi Senate, breaking the GOP supermajority in the chamber, and of course passing Prop 50 by a massive margin in California, offering political cover to other Democrats across the country to do the exact same thing in light of these map redraws at the hands of Republican states. Trump may view himself as a king, but he and his party of chicken shit enablers learned a quick lesson in democracy tonight. And given the fact that Trump is incapable of humility and incapable of ever admitting fault, the pain only promises to be worse for Republicans come midterms 1 year from now. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.